Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. On this episode, yield is top of mind and combines are rolling. Here's some awesome numbers from Ben. Lynn shares his thoughts on our Group 2 Cherokee soybean and how it compares to other varieties. The West Point show plot has been harvested up to the Kennedy maturity. Here are the record yields that have been documented so far. And stick around to hear how you can get some Merschman swag. Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. Today we have Turk, Lynn, and myself. And Lynn, what's on the top of mind today?
I think everything right now revolves around yield. So we're getting some reports that come in from corn and a little bit of beans throughout this past week. Guys are really getting into the field and getting stuff going. So hearing some really promising numbers from a wide variety of geographies in our sales territory. So a little bit with that, we have some plots that are coming off. So here within the next couple weeks, we're gonna have a really good set of data coming out for us in a large quantity. But right now, the anecdotal numbers that are coming out, I think we should be very happy with where we're sitting at. So you have a few of those numbers in front of you there. You want to let the listeners know what's kind of going on the yield front?
Yeah, so we've had quite a few reports coming in this week so far. We've had some 85.9 bushel Lincolns. So our Lincoln is our new 2431, so that'd be our 3.1 maturity in south central Iowa. So absolutely, the grower was just mind blown by that. We've had some mid 80s on our McKinleys, which are our 3.2 in southeast Iowa around Fairfield area. They were coming off in the mid 80s from a screenshot that I got. Absolutely stunned by those. We had two fields of Lincolns in east central Illinois go across the scales at 91 and 100.69. So that's incredible when we can get products that are going across the scales, averaging over 100 bushel an acre. So we know the Lincoln's got legs underneath them for sure. We've had some Muscatine, West Branch, and Wilton, so eastern Iowa, northeast Iowa. We're looking at 75 plus bushel per acre Chickasaws. When I was asking Brian, our sales rep, about were the growers happy with that, and dumbfounded was the word that he used. So for an area that was lacking in rainfall, catching just enough timely rainfalls, the Chickasaws were really shining out there at 75 bushel per acre. We had the report coming out of west central Missouri. The screenshots of the monitor were running in the mid 70s. Field ended up averaging 55. Grower was pretty happy with that with the lack of moisture that they had. Howard County, Missouri, we had a 2414 C-30 rolling 210. Again, dry area. Really happy with looking at what that was rolling there. Coming a little bit closer to home, some results from Lee County. Our 2411C on 17 acres did 267. Our 9808 E-20 from the Stein platform was running 262. We had an MX 514, I think a little bit, which is contrary to where I'm going to go here in a minute, but I think the little bit earlier season stuff, when you're looking at that MX 514, I'd probably call it like 106 day. So it didn't handle the stress quite as well. It was rolling 226, and then we had a Pioneer check in there that was 258 on one of their more full season sides, so one of their 115s. So I mean, we're hanging in the mix on the corn side is the only reason that I'd put that in there. And then I've gotten some screenshots from some really high yielding growers on our 2411 C-30 here in Lee County, where it's bumping 300. So the average is maybe in the 260s, possibly 270s. I mean, we're kind of flirting with that line, but that product has the legs underneath it to really push into that 300 bushel mark. Now we just got to figure out how to pull the lower spots up in the field towards that to maximize where we're at with that. The Weaver plot that is on my parents' ground came off on Thursday this week, the 2408, which is the newest set of germplasm coming out of our corn lineup. Rolled out number 1 at 274.93, and the 2411 C-30 was chasing on its heels at 272.43. So the little bit earlier side on this plot seemed to do really well. The experimental 112, which I think will probably be something that we see in our lineup next year for tough acres, rolled in third, and everything else is really respectable. The plot range was 250 to 274 on the Weaver plot.
I think I guess a little bit on perspective for our listener, when we compare, you and I talk obviously every day. our weather pattern that we have on this side of the county vastly differs than what you guys have on your side. So where we were a little bit drier and early, you guys actually caught too much rain at one point in time, and it kind of could go to explain a little bit why those earlier maturities maybe fared better than say on this side of the county. But the other point I guess I wanted to unpack on that is just how incredible that Lincoln is. I mean, it's really hard for us. I know we treat these things maybe at times in the same realm as our kids, but it's like I said, it's hard not to get excited. But the footprint that this Lincoln has is very, very similar to a portfolio package when we look at the Monroe Kennedy kind of back and forth we got there. Now we have we can go Lincoln McKinley, or we can go Lincoln Cherokee. We have a really nice placeholder that we can start the conversation with our farmer and kind of build around that, and we can do that from Lincoln, Nebraska to the land of Lincoln. So
right, and we were actually going back and looking up some data on
that.
I like that.
Squirrel. Wasn't even paying attention. So the we were unpacking some data from last year on the Cherokee, and the Cherokee's kind of a miss. We didn't have it in seed production. We didn't have it in any plots last year. It was a North American raised bean that we didn't have the opportunity to re-up. So when guys ask questions about where that Cherokee belongs, I was sharing data with you. What are your thoughts on that Cherokee? In comparison to what was prior to it, which would have been the Arthur and the Mohawk.
I would be hard pressed to find a spot that I wouldn't put that in. Do I think that we have an advantage on maybe some higher yielding ground with the Lincoln? From both, I look at that both from the bean itself and then also the maturity side of stuff. That typically when we go to a higher producing ground, I like to put maybe our fullest maturity on there as well, so that way we get both the time aspect and then the yield aspect. This, I wouldn't say is one that I am afraid to put on that ground. I think the sudden death score on it was absolutely phenomenal compared to what we had available in the Arthur and the Mohawk, which gives me a lot of confidence when we get onto that higher running acre, maybe a little bit wetter acre early, that it's going to have the ability to withstand that inoculation period that we have early in the spring.
Sounds a little bit like Monroe's.
Very, very similar. I mean, from a placement standpoint.
Is the structure a little more upright or not?
On the Cherokee,
yeah.
the Lincoln is definitely more of an inline style bean. I would say that the Cherokee is more of a moderate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the Cherokee is one, and having conversations, I was at probably 2 weeks ago, I got the question on, hey, I really like these Arthurs. These Mohawks look phenomenal. Like, why would you want to go away from it? And you've mentioned it as well. It's just so hard for the industry to find that 282930 that is a consistent fit. That it's just kind of, we're always looking for the next big thing. Do I preface that the Cherokee is the next big thing? I think we're as close as we've ever had to it.
Yep.
The numbers that we're getting right now that we see sure seems to point in that direction. I think we've healed some of the limitations, though, for sure, on the Arthur and the Mohawk side. That the sudden death, we just saw it in too many places. It didn't show up in the testing before, but last year it was too big of a yield robber. We had to go in a different direction. So,
well, what I'd like to point out is against the Mohawks, we had a 5 bushel in one set of third-party trial data. We had a 5 bushel advantage to the Mohawks with the Cherokee. We had a 4 bushel advantage to the Arthurs with the Cherokee. We had an 80% win rate through the MS Tech testing data. 80% typically means 4 to 5 bushel an acre when you have 80% win rate. So that's anytime you can get a bean in that 80% win rate, you have a product that's probably going to last for a little while in the lineup. So I just kind of wanted to point that out because we are getting lots of questions.
Right.
About where does this thing fit? Why was it brought into the lineup?
And we joke about it, and like I said, I mentioned at the meeting, though, when a bean is exiting the lineup, it's going to have the best year ever. But just have the faith that the Cherokee that's coming in the data is proven, and it's supposed to be a 3-year proven product as well from your testing perspective. So
Correct.
We feel really excited about that. It's just like I said, we say this every year, and I feel like I'm a repeating machine on this, but we just keep putting together this core group of beans in different maturity zones that I'd love to just go head to head with anyone, because I think we've got in every area we've got a group of 3 beans that we could just package together, place beans and take farms to the next level.
Yep.
Our number one seller is hanging in there too, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, Avery and Dylan helped me out and pulled off as much of the Merschman test plot that they could on Wednesday this week.
Wednesday, yep.
And they went up to a Kennedy. It was about as far as they felt comfortable going, and those Kennedys were running 13.2 on Wednesday. So that's right about the perfect moisture when we want to start cutting beans. Kennedy took the plot so far, and we haven't gone any further than this, but the Kennedy took the plot at 91.65 bushel per acre. Number 2 spot behind that would have been our Lincolns. Believe it or not, there's
Shocker.
a Lincoln poking its head up, but I kind of wanted to talk about a couple of the other standouts that were in the plot. We have 2 experimental Peking lines. The 2.5 rolled 85.52, and our 3.3 Peking line, that both of these products will probably be in the lineup next year with names on them, that rolled 86.63. So we're obviously going to wait and see how the data comes back from MMS Tech. We're going to wait and see what the rest of the strip trials do and see if we have some consistent patterns that happen out of that. But anytime when you have a product that's 4, 5, 6 bushel better than what's on either side of it, it's kind of a standout. So I'm looking forward to more data as it comes in. And also our experimental 2.0 looks like it's giving Cheyenne's a run for its money. So I'm very, very, very impressed with some of the lines that are, going to be in the lineup in the next year and a half, 2 years. So
You guys that want Peking, stay tuned.
that's absolutely correct.
I think that's the Peking side of it is just as a plus on this, because for this old clay knob, the cyst pressure really is probably nothing.
Right.
You've had the pattern ag results, and I guess apologies for not looking at that before we talked about it, but that yield advantage isn't coming because it's fighting off cysts. That yield is coming from the actual genetic ability of that bean. So
Correct. And I'd like to talk about that too. We've never seen yields in the 90s on this test plot over here. So there's some things that are done that have been in the works over the past couple of years to get this plot up to snuff for high yielding products. And it's been tiled, so it's tiled on 33-foot centers. We're really paying close attention to the macros and micros on the fertility side. So it had a 110 bushel removal on, that's where Derek, our fertilizer expert, and I sat down and built a plan for fertility so that we're hitting each one of the micros and macros and making removal rates for that. And weeds were definitely controlled this year. We had the correct plant stand that we were looking for with our planter. And when you check all the boxes, things like this can happen even on an old clay knob. So extra fertility equals extra stress.
Yep.
Extra stress mitigation. So.
And you could see that. West Point from where I'm at didn't catch near the rain or even the dewy mornings and that kind of stuff. And these beans nearly look like they never had a bad day in their life.
Correct.
So that goes back to a little bit what we were talking about in some previous episodes about how beans will respond to fertility, and a lot of people don't fertilize their beans like they do their corn.
Correct.
But if you do, you can change the game.
Yep. And I'm becoming more and more. There's more and more data that is out there that spring applied fertilizer, even on the dry side, if you can get enough rain to incorporate it, there may be some advantage with the phosphorus and the potassium by doing a spring applied dry fertilizer program.
And I would say most folks are lacking in that anyways, let alone go with a 2-year removal rate on going into corn. This year is one, I think, on this topic that we definitely need to have discussions with our suppliers from a fertilizer standpoint, because if you're if you're cranking some corn like we're seeing around here, it's not a game that I want to be in with soybeans next year. Taking that P and the K to get to 260, 270, 280. If we're basing it on a 2-year removal rate of 200, 220 corn and 50, 60 bushel beans, we're not maintaining. We're actually pulling a lot of that out, and our beans are going to be the one that suffers for that next year.
And with the price of soybeans and the lower cost of fertility this year, I mean, putting that removal on or even bumping it up a little bit like you talked about, Ben, is probably a great thing to do for this year, looking into next year.
When we look at, just take potassium for example, if we get to adequate levels like you're talking about in beans, I mean, that right there is a stress mitigator in and of itself. Helps that plant stay in the game during the drought conditions. Helps to make sure that we are moving stuff through the plant when things are needed. And same with calcium. If we're making sure that our calcium is taken care of. Everything else rides on the back of calcium. So if we're getting the big stuff taken care of, some of the smaller stuff becomes pretty easy to manage. And like I said, the biggest one, we've talked about and listening to Neil Kinsey, that drought stressing some of these crops goes back to what is your available potassium that you got out there. So making sure that you are not lacking in that department could pay dividends. And like Joe says, you tell me what the weather is, we'll guarantee your yield, but we just can't do that because we're pretty variable.
Right. The only other thing I had for this week was we went and planted Dylan and Avery worked on planting our wheat for our wheat show plot that we're having. So we're going to highlight some hyper earlies and some ultra earlies in our medium early lines here in West Point. And they planted those on Friday or Thursday of last week, and we had wheat up.
Friday.
Yep, and we had wheat up on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. So I got some pictures up there we can show, and a video of Dylan stabbing beans in the ground, or stabbing wheat in the ground. But it looks amazing. We got some 15 versus 7.5 inch trials, and we're going to be looking at that as well, because we have a drill, but I'd rather use a planter to plant the wheat because of this exact reason. We have seed to soil contact, we have the right seeding depth. The wheat's off to a great start.
Yeah, looks like if it continues on, the stuff in the green bean patch might be ready to harvest by January 15th.
It's definitely kicking butt.
Speaking of wheat, Ben, Joe was telling me we had 100% germ.
I hadn't heard that yet.
Yeah, 100% germ back on wheat. We're having pizza party next Friday.
There you go. No, that's excellent. So,
yeah.
Anytime we can be in that range, we can help our growers reduce their populations that they need to plant and get wheat up there, and they're getting the biggest bang for their buck.
Yep.
So, Turk, what do you got going on in the news this week?
One of the bigger things in the news this week is obviously the government shutdown and the probability that that's going to happen, and how is that going to affect the markets, and how is that going to affect everything going on. But when the government shuts down, all government reports stop across the board, and we're kind of in a vacuum for information. And how will the markets respond to that? And typically they go down. So it remains to be seen whether that's going to happen or not. But right now it's not looking very positive that they're going to come to any kind of a resolution. And then how long will it last? The river remains to be low as well, which is definitely have an effect on our transportation and what basis is, and especially in the upper Midwest here. And so those are all things that are hanging out there. Another big item in the news this week was AGCO bought Trimble, 85% of Trimble for $2 billion. And so one of the largest purchases in the tech industry, so to speak. So that's a big thing. That's a big deal.
Absolutely. I always, AGCO owns Precision Planting. I think that that's a very unique marriage to have, self-automated this, that, and the other. They're going to be tying things together.
Yeah, and that's where they think the future is going, is auto drive and auto steer and auto everything. So won't even need to be in the tractor here shortly.
That's right.
I don't think they realize how much sometimes we need to be in a tractor just to get away.
Stress relief.
Exactly.
Stress relief.
Exactly.
I don't know if we talked about it last week, but I had one more pop into my brain that we had 71 bushel in northern Illinois, southwest Wisconsin. So we had 71 bushel Cheyennes come off up there too. So wanted to plug that one. So in relation to all of this that we're talking about, exciting high yielding products that are out there right now, I'd like to offer a prize or a gift for all of our customers or viewers that want to turn in
A bribe.
A bribe, yeah. We can call it a bribe. A bribe for anybody that wants to turn in what they're seeing on their yield monitor. If they want to take a picture, let us know where you're from. Send it into merseeds at merschmanseeds.com, and we'll put the link up in the description. But if you want to let us know how things are turning out on your farm, if you're excited about things, even if it's not in the 80s and 90s and 100s on bean yields or 300 on corn, let us know what you're seeing if you're proud of it, and we'll get you a prize. I think somewhere between hitch pins or T-shirts or something, we'll get something sent back out your guys' direction. So.
Got to be a Merschman product.
Yeah, we'd like to see the Merschman products, whether it be corn or soybeans or wheat. So with that, I think, Lynn, you want to close us out?
No, but here we go. You guys ready?
Yep.
Why were the baby strawberries crying?
No idea.
Their mom and pa were in a jam.
It's a little morbid, isn't it?
Well, that's a little morbid.
That's tasty there.
To keep on the morbid trend here, how did the organic vegetables die?
No idea.
Natural causes.
There you go. Very natural causes.
Yep.
So, well, we appreciate everybody's time and sticking with us this week, even though you had to listen to Lynn there finish the episode out. But we appreciate everybody's viewership. We hope harvest is going along well and staying safe, and we will catch you next week. Thank you.